Alright, hi guys, Spartan765 here. Today I'm doing a video review on a gun I bought from a buddy of mine about a week ago, and that is the Beretta 96 Centurion right here. Now, as far as Berettas go, I mean, just get this clear when we're going in the video. When I say Berettas, I'm referencing the Beretta 92, the 92 FS, the Beretta 96, that series of firearm. Okay, not any other Berettas on the PX4 store. I'm just referencing, when I say Beretta, it's the 92, 96 series, this style of action, this style of gun. Now, this is a gun that, was on my list of guns to get, but it wasn't high up on the list. But I just happened to get a good deal on this one. One of my buddy, he had it. It has a little bit of, he said it has some feeding issues, and I got it from him for about $350. These guns on Gun Broker for a used Beretta 96, you'll see them going anywhere from about $300 on up to $500. Just depends on the condition, and what it comes with. This gun came with, everything it did when it would have been bought new. It came with the 2 magazines, and it came with the case right here. Now, this gun was made in 1997 during the Clinton ban. The magazines that come with it, I'm assuming, are the original magazines that came with when it was purchased, because they say restricted law enforcement government use only, which indicates to me that this particular Beretta 96 is probably a police trade-in. Now, as you remember on the market, about a year or two ago, on several of the online sites, there were a lot of Berettas coming in as police trade-ins. And there's nothing wrong with getting a police trade-in gun. Generally, the police trade-ins are usually a lower round count, under 3,000 rounds, and but they usually have a lot of holster wear, which I see on this particular gun here. As you can see, there's a lot of holster wear here, indicating probably leather holster or something. There's on the back of the dovetail there, or the back of the beaver tail, you can see where it's worn off, or, obviously you can tell someone had it in the holster and was, doing one of these numbers a lot, well, not holding it with this hand, but, just having their resting their hand on it. Now, I'm not sure if this is a police trade-in. It could be like an former security guard's gun or something like that. I don't know who my buddy bought it from before, if he got it at the gun shop or wherever. But, like I said, generally from what I can see or tell, I'm assuming that the gun is a police trade-in, just from the holster wear on the gun and the LE government use only mags, the band magazines from the 90s. Now, these guns are known for being, not finicky, but in certain cases unreliable. The reason for that is because this frame, when I say reliable, I mean two things. Could have feeding issues. Not all of them do. Some people have had these Beretta 96 Centurions and said they've never had an issue and have thousands of rounds through. Other guys will say they have 1 or 2 problems per magazine. Now, keep in mind the Beretta 96 came out in 1990 when the 40 Smith & Wesson came out. It was developed in 1989, came out, was mainly used for the FBI. And the Glock 22 was the first big manufactured, highly produced gun to use that round, and then this was close behind it. This gun, as we all know, the 40 Smith & Wesson was a round designed to be used in the frame of a 9mm gun. And that's why, if you look at a 40 Smith & Wesson round, why it's not rounded, it's just flat on the top. Now, there's a couple issues with that. Obviously, the 40 Smith & Wesson has higher chamber pressures. Modern guns, if you buy a modern Glock 22 or a Smith & Wesson MP40 or an XD40, those guns are designed for, the frame is designed for the loads of the 40 Smith & Wesson. Now, the Beretta 96, like I said, was on a 9mm frame. Both the regular 96 and the Centurion model. Now, the only difference between the Centurion and the regular 96, or a 92 and a 92 Centurion, is the Centurion is just like 3/4 of an inch shorter. That's the only difference. So it's a little bit more compact. Now, the round count on these guns before failure or before they wear out on the Beretta 96 Centurions is about half that of the 9mm version, maybe a little bit higher. We're just throwing out figures here, just rough estimates. Figure, you got a Beretta 92 that might last 200,000 rounds, your average round count on this would be about 100,000 rounds before it's well used and no good anymore. Like I said, those aren't exact figures. Those are just about, because I know Glocks will generally run up to about 200,000 rounds before failure. This gun, I did notice, though, has the new locking block in it. On the Berettas, one common area for failure is the locking block, especially on these 96s. As you look right here, pull the locking block out, you see the locking block here, how there's these little curves. Now, those are contours that were cut into the locking blocks at a later date. Well, not talking that they were made 90 degrees and then cut later, but this is the newer style of locking block. The older locking blocks were just at a 90-degree angle, which would cause these tabs here to crack and break off. So Beretta solved that problem by contouring it, and what that does is that increases the strength and flex of the metal. So essentially causing it to last longer and not fail. If you have a Beretta with a standard 90-degree locking block, just look up pictures on Google and look up different things on forums, and you'll see, just type in Beretta locking block failures. I mean, they're out there. I mean, they're not, super common. No gun failure is really super common on a well-designed gun, but there are always instances where something can fail. That's why it's just, a good idea to be aware of the possible failure areas in a gun when you buy it, so that way you can inspect it to make sure it hasn't crapped out. Another area where these Berettas can fail is right here in the frame. You get a crack, and that's because it's thinner. That's right where the locking block sits. Again, that's nothing that's incredibly common, but it has happened. And you could, like, when I say it has happened, I mean if you type it in on the internet, pictures will come up. Another area, obviously here, just like on any gun, is your slide track right here. You get cracks there. Right. That's about it. As far as like frame cracks on this gun here, I haven't really, heard a whole lot about the actual frame itself cracking. Although I have heard of areas over, like where the slide impacts the frame, it deforms the frame, and that's eventually what causes it to, get to the point where the metallurgy isn't very good anymore. As far as the safety features on this gun goes, it is a double stage. It's got a, I don't want to call this a half cock, but what this is for here is it's a little safety, so when you're pulling the trigger or the hammer back and your finger slips, it's not going to hit the firing pin. Okay. Also has a decock, manual decock safety, which also obviously disables the trigger. This gun also has a firing pin safety. Now, here I have it's on safe, and as you can see, as I'm pulling the trigger here, this piece pops up here. Now what that is, that's an indicator letting you know that the firing pin is now free to slide in that channel. Now, I've never seen, any guns other than Berettas that have this feature that have a firing pin safety indicator on them. So when you pull the trigger, you can tell that that is channels free. And what I'm assuming that's for is so like if something gets jammed in there and it's up like that and the trigger's not pulled, like trigger's not pulled, I'm holding it up manually, that something's wrong. Also has a chamber load indicator indicated. Push. Let's see if I can. Don't know if my finger's strong enough to do that, but you can see the red right there. Chamber load indicator. But yeah, that's the safety features in this gun. It's like another common name for the firing pin safety is the drop safety. These are fairly safe guns. They're fairly reliable and durable guns. I mean, this series has been used by our armed forces since 1985. The Beretta 92 was developed in 1975, so it's been around a while. The new version of the 40 Smith & Wesson that's built on a frame designed specifically for the 40 Smith & Wesson is the Beretta 92, and that's not the number 9, the number 2, that's the number 90 and the word 2. That's their new 40 Smith & Wesson. That's this style of gun. Pretty good gun. I would not honestly take this over a Glock. I'm a big Glock fan. I prefer striker-fired guns for carry. But then again, that's just me. Nothing wrong with a hammer-fired gun. I do like hammer-fired guns. I own a few of them. It's just, for carry, I like the simplicity of a Glock, the reliability of a Glock, less moving parts. Again, these Berettas obviously are good guns. They've been used by several police forces around the country. So, and they're used by the military, so they're very good guns, very durable and reliable. Just the only one that I know of that has some reliability issues with the feeding. And again, I don't know if this gun does or not. This particular one, the 96, the older 96s, which this is, have had some feeding problems. But some people say that they've had a 96 for years, never had an issue. Some people say it's, several times a magazine. I have yet to go to the range with this gun, and I will find that out then. But what I'm going to tell you is some reasons why some people can have failures to feed is if your magazine spring is weak, the follower is bad, your magazine lips are either bent in or out, or you have, dent marks in the side of the magazine which can inhibit the free travel of the follower. Another thing is, if you have burrs on your feed ramp here. Now, feed ramp burrs, that's one thing a lot of people don't think about when they have feeding issues just on handguns in general. Like if you get a 1911 and you get a new barrel for it and it's just not feeding, if you don't have a polished feed ramp, or it at least is burr free, that's probably your issue right there. Because any friction that occurs when the round is sliding in, the more friction you have that when the slide is pushing the round forward into the barrel, the higher chance you're going to have for the slide to lock up like this, or just have a complete failure to feed. So again, that's stuff that people can do. You can polish your feed ramp. Again, if you don't know, if you're not experienced with gunsmithing, don't do anything on your own. That's just my disclaimer, because if you do something wrong, your gun can fail and cause injury. So that's the disclaimer. Don't do anything unless you are 100% confident that you know what you're doing. I have seen far too many people who have done basement gunsmithing thinking they know what they're doing, and they literally fuck up a gun to the point where it's beyond repair. I have an example, actually. I don't know if I have the barrel anymore, but it's a Tokarev barrel that's been filed in a way that on the chamber, actually, to my mind, it creates a weak spot. So that barrel obviously is no longer in that firearm. And the barrel's just sitting in the drawer. I have a couple drawers of spare barrels. But yeah. So, overall, okay gun. I paid $350 for it, got it for my buddy. That's about what you see, these guns going for on Gun Broker, anywhere between $300 for one that's really beat up, or one that's, well used, all the way up to, $500, depending on, which state you live in and what the person wants for the gun. That's as far as private sales go. As far as in-store sales, these are, you're going to see about, in-store probably $500, but private sales, you're seeing anywhere between like $300. I've seen, but between $350 and $400 is about what I'm seeing for private sales. These, if you go on like Arms List, Gun Broker, that type of thing. This does have Trijicon night sights. What I'm going to tell you about night sights on a Beretta are that if you don't buy the gun with night sights on it, most of the models Beretta makes, as far as this style, either at night sights or no night sights. You cannot just buy over-the-counter night sights and put them on this gun. You can, but they're shit. As you know, you cannot remove the front sight on this gun. It's not removable unless you literally mill it off. So the only way to put a night sight in here, or a tritium-filled glass tube, is to have somebody do it on a mill. And, usually you send that in and have a gunsmith do it who has that precision equipment, or have Trijicon do it. This one is dated 09, so this obviously was put in here in 2009 or 2010, I'm assuming. This was probably done, by Trijicon. I'm assuming by Trijicon or somebody who had the equipment to do it. They do make night sights that fit over the top of the other one, of the existing sight, and glue in there. I would not use those. I don't trust those. I think they're kind of cheap crap. But that was a big reason I wanted to buy this one. If it would have just been a regular Beretta 96 my buddy had, and not, one with night sights, I wouldn't have bought it. But, these guns are kind of hard to find with, night sights on them, because they weren't, back in the day, they weren't really made with night sights. The night sights are good. They're green on green, so they're bright, which is kind of cool. Again, haven't taken this guy to the range yet. I will do a range review on this gun. hopefully everything goes good with it and it's not going to fail to feed, because then that's just going to be more pain in the ass for me to fix. Oh yeah, by the way, when I got this gun, it did not look like it had been... It was field strip clean when I got it. I mean, it was field strip clean pretty good. But when I buy any gun, I fully disassemble the gun. I take it completely 100% apart, every single part off the gun that can come off, with the exception of the rear sight, and detail clean it. As far as the non-field stripping part, when I say field stripping parts, I mean taking the slide off, taking the barrel out, taking the spring out, taking the locking block out. That was all clean fine, but as far as like the little internal parts, like the hammer, trigger, takedown lever, the safety, I took all that crap out. The firing pin channel was filthy. Everything, there was tons and tons of carbon buildup on almost all the springs except for the recoil spring in this gun. And that is very common because not a lot of people will detail strip their guns. The Beretta 96, or the Beretta series, as far as this style of gun goes, 92, 96, taking the firing pin out is a pain in the ass because you have to pop this pin out here, or you got to take this, or to get the extractor out too. But for the extractor, you take this pin out here, which is irritating because it's peened in there. So when you pop the pin out, if there's not enough friction, you got to repeen it in. And underneath this extractor here, there was just a ton of gunk. I mean, just filled with gunk. The firing pin on these guns isn't, anything, to write home about as far as ease of taking it out either. That's why, again, why I like Glocks. They're so simple to take apart. So, I mean, as far as detail stripping this gun, I would say it's probably about once every, 1,000 rounds. Because it's, you can only take this pin out and repeen it in so many times for the extractor before it starts to, get crappy. But yeah, you guys got any... Oh, also on these Berettas, get the damn safety out, too. That was a pain in the ass. You gotta have a little tiny punch to get these two pins out, pull this out, pull this out. It's not easy. Well, it's not complicated. It's just trying to find something that small to use as a pin, and I ended up using just a little finishing nail as a pin punch for that. But that works. But you guys got any comments or questions? I will probably be doing either a range review or a post-range review on this gun. Anything else like field stripping videos, I don't really tend to do a lot of field stripping videos unless I get requested, because a lot of the guns, like AR-15 field strip, everybody knows how to do that, and there's already, hundreds of videos out there on YouTube on that. But if anybody wants me to do a field strip video, I will do, or any complex disassembly video or reassembly video, I can do those as well. Any comments, questions, send me a message. Spartan765 out.